They found the escape pod drifting at the edge of their quiet sector, turning slowly in the cold dark of space. The Valeri research crew had never seen anything like it before. Their scanners read strange metal, heavy armor, and a power core that should not have been able to survive so long. Captain Saurian, the youngest officer on the small ship, stared at the screen with wide violet eyes. "It is human technology," he whispered. The rest of the crew exchanged nervous looks. They had heard stories about humans' old stories passed down through many generations. Some said humans destroyed entire armies when they were angry. Some said they vanished after a great war. Others said they were only a myth, but the pod was real, and inside it was a single human. The crew argued for hours. Their leaders always warned them to stay away from anything connected to humans. Humans brought trouble. Humans brought danger. No one knew what a living human could do. Still, Saurian looked at the scans again and again. The human inside was dying. No air, failing cryosystems, no signal for rescue, and no nearby ships. "If we do nothing," Saurian said softly, "she will die." That changed everything. The Valeri were peaceful people. They could not leave someone to die, even a human. At last, the captain of the research vessel, Elder Veles, gave the order. "Bring the pod aboard." The pod was lifted into the ship's medical bay. Its outer metal was scorched and broken, as if it survived a terrible battle. Saurian watched as the medical team cut through the seals and opened the cryo chamber. Cold mist poured out, covering the floor like fog. Inside lay a tall woman in a torn black uniform, her skin pale from decades of frozen sleep. Her chest rose in slow, uneven breaths. Her hair floated loosely, frozen at the ends. Around her neck was a small metal tag with human writing. "Captain Myra Hale," Saurian whispered the name, unsure how to pronounce it. The medical team worked quickly, attaching gentle tubes, scanners, and life support. The machines beeped softly, trying to warm her body and repair the damage. For 3 days, Mira remained unconscious. The Valeri moved carefully around her, always watching from a safe distance. Some were still nervous, a few worried she might wake and attack them, but Saurian stayed by her side the entire time. On the 4th day, her eyelids moved. The medical bay fell silent. Mira opened her eyes slowly. They were sharp and bright, even though she looked weak. Her breathing quickened as she scanned the room. She sat up a little, confused and tense. Saurian stepped forward with both hands raised, showing peace. "You are safe," he said softly, in simple galactic standard. "We helped you." Mira blinked, trying to understand. Her voice came out rough. "Who are you?" Saurian explained that they were Valeri explorers and had found her drifting in space. He told her they meant no harm. Mira listened quietly, still gathering strength. Then she looked at her hands, her uniform, and the strange medical devices around her. "How long was I out?" she asked. "Your pod was?" "Very old," Saurian replied. "Maybe 20 years. Mira closed her eyes. A deep heaviness crossed her face. 20 years. She had lost 20 years. She did not say more, and the Valeri did not ask questions. They simply gave her water, food, and space to think. Over the next few days, Mira adjusted to the ship. She walked slowly at first, her muscles weak. Saurian guided her through the hallways, showing her the small observation window where the stars drifted by like silver dust. The Valeri were small, slim beings with soft blue skin and glowing markings that changed with their emotions. Mira found them calm and gentle, always polite. They were peaceful, but also afraid. Not afraid of her, she realized, but afraid of something else. When she asked about it, Elder Veles answered. "The Zacharan Dominion," he said. "They grow stronger each year. They take planets. They take people. They do not care who they hurt." Mira listened with interest. She remembered the Dominion. She had fought them once, long ago. They were powerful, cruel, and always expanding. Saurian added softly, "We do not have the weapons to fight them." Mira frowned. She knew why the Dominion would be interested in a human. Humans were rare. Humans were dangerous. If the Dominion learned a living human was here, they would come. That night, the ship shook with a sudden alarm. Lights flashed red. The crew ran through the corridors with fear clear in their glowing markings. "Mira," Saurian called, rushing into her room. "The Dominion found us." Mira grabbed the side of the wall to steady herself. "How? We do not know," he said. "They demand we turn you over." Mira closed her eyes for a moment. It was always the same. Every war she lived through, humans were something other species wanted to use, capture, or fear. "Listen to me," she said firmly. "You cannot fight them directly. You do not have the ships or the firepower." "We know," Saurian said, voice shaking. "That is why we are afraid." Mira took a deep breath. Her body was still weak, but her mind was steady. She had been a soldier her entire life. Strategy was in her bones. "How many ships?" she asked. "3 Zakharan patrol cruisers," Saurian answered. Mira forced her stiff legs to move. "Take me to the bridge." On the bridge, Elder Velis stood before the main viewing screen. 3 dark silver ships hovered outside, their red lights glowing like angry eyes. A message flashed repeatedly. "Surrender the human. You have 10 minutes." Velis turned to Mira. "We cannot win." Mira scanned the controls. The Valeri ship was small, fast, but unarmed. Still, speed was a weapon if used correctly. "You do not need to win," she said. "You only need to survive long enough to escape." The crew stared at her. Mira pointed to a nearby asteroid field. "Go there. Use it as cover." Velis hesitated, then nodded. "Do it." The ship shot forward. The Dominion cruisers followed, firing sharp beams that shook the hull. The Valeri trembled, but kept their focus. Mira studied the asteroids and gave orders in quick, simple words. "Left, right, hold, drop speed. Boost now." The Valeri were surprised by her rapid commands, but they obeyed. The ship zigzagged between the giant rocks, confusing the Dominion targeting systems. One cruiser crashed into an asteroid. Another lost track of them. The last cruiser kept chasing. "They will not stop," Veli said. Mira nodded. "I know." She pointed to a narrow gap between 2 massive spinning rocks. "Fly through that." Saurian looked at the screen. "That opening is too small." "For you," Mira said, "but not for this ship. Trust me." The Valeri exchanged glances. Their markings glowed in nervous purple, but they followed her instructions. The ship shot through the gap, scraping close enough for sparks to crack against the windows. The Dominion cruiser tried to follow, but the gap closed too fast. The cruiser smashed into the rocks and exploded in a burst of red fire. Silence filled the Valeri bridge. "We survived," Saurian whispered. Mira leaned against the console, breathing hard from exhaustion. "Because you trusted me." Velis looked at her with new respect. "You saved us." Mira shook her head. "No, you saved me first." The crew was quiet for a long moment. The danger had passed, but the truth was clear. The Dominion now knew a human was alive, and they would not stop. Later, when the ship rested in a safe region of space, Saurian found Mira standing alone in the observation room. She stared at the stars with a serious expression. "What will you do now?" he asked. Mira sighed. "I need to find Earth." Saurian tilted his head. "Does your home still exist?" "I don't know," Mira admitted. "Rumors say it fell. Others say it hid itself. If Earth is out there, I need to return. And if the Dominion is hunting me, Earth must be in danger too." Saurian nodded slowly. Then he surprised her. "We will help you," he said. Mira turned to him. "Saurian, your people already risked everything for me." He took a small breath. "You saved us from the Dominion. You gave us hope, and you are alone. We cannot leave you now." Mira looked at the stars again. For the first time since waking up, she felt something warm in her chest. "Thank you," she said softly. The Valeri ship changed course that night. They left their safe borders and entered unknown regions. The journey ahead would be long and dangerous, but Mira was not alone. She had allies. She had a mission. And somewhere out there, Earth was waiting. The Valeri ship moved through dark and quiet space, leaving behind the asteroid field where they had escaped the Dominion. The crew felt relief, but also fear. Everyone knew the Dominion would return. They always did. Myra spent the next days recovering her strength. She trained slowly in the cargo hold, moving through basic exercises. Her body felt heavy after 20 years of cryosleep, but her mind was sharp. She watched the crew as they worked, learned their habits, and studied their ship's systems. The Valeri were peaceful and gentle, but they lacked military training. Mira knew that if they wanted to survive, they needed more than hope. Saurian visited her often. He asked questions about humans, about Earth, and about the wars Mira had fought. She answered only what she felt necessary. Some memories still hurt too much to speak. One evening, the ship entered a small nebula, a calm place filled with soft blue dust. It was a safe spot for repairs. Saurian met Mira in the observation room, carrying a small tray of food. "You should eat," he said with a faint smile. Mira accepted the tray and sat down. "Thank you. Your people are very kind." Saurian looked at her thoughtfully. "You helped us escape. Many Valeri think differently about humans now." Mira gave a dry smile. "Humans have a reputation. Not always good." Saurian hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "Some say humans destroyed many things long ago. That you burn too bright?" Mira looked out the window. "Maybe we do. But we also protect. The Valeri saved me. I won't forget that." A soft alarm suddenly echoed through the ship. Not a danger alert, something else. "Wormhole disturbance detected," the system announced. Mira stood. "Show me." On the bridge, Elder Veles pointed at the screen. A swirling hole of dark light rippled nearby. Tiny sparks of red energy drifted from it. Mira's eyes narrowed. "That's Dominion tech. They're using short-range wormholes to track us." Saurian's markings flashed worried blue. "How?" "We changed direction 3 times. "They're not following your ship's trail," Mira said. "They're following me." Silence filled the bridge. Veles asked softly, "Why? What makes a human so important?" Mira sighed. "Humans fought the Dominion in the past. We didn't lose. They never forgot us. If they capture me, they can study my memories, my old training. Everything." Saurian looked horrified. "They want to use you?" "Yes," Myra said. "And if they can't use me, they'll kill me. And all of you." The crew exchanged frightened looks. Mira stepped forward. "Listen to me. You saved me. Now let me help you survive. I can teach you to defend yourselves." Veles lowered his head. "We are explorers, not fighters. You can still learn," Myra insisted. "And you must. The Dominion won't stop." After a long silence, Veles agreed. Myra began training them the next day. It started in the cargo bay. Mira stood before the Valeri crew, who looked nervous but determined. She kept her voice simple and clear. "You do not need to fight like humans. But you need to think differently. You must move fast, observe fast, and react fast." She taught them how to scan enemy ships for weaknesses, how to predict attack patterns, and how to maneuver in dangerous areas. She showed them how to stay calm under pressure, a skill most Valeri struggled with. At first they were clumsy. Their hands trembled. Their markings flickered nervously, but they learned. Saurian learned the fastest. He absorbed every detail Mira taught, and soon he was assisting her. Together, they created emergency drills, escape plans, even decoy strategies to confuse Dominion trackers. One day during training, the ship vibrated with a sudden signal. Myra recognized the sound instantly. "A Dominion probe," she said. The crew rushed to the bridge. A small metal sphere hovered near their ship, scanning them. "It found us," Saurian said. "And it will send your location," Mira replied. She pointed to the controls. "Bring up the external arms. Grab it before it transmits." Veles hesitated. "Our ship arms are slow." "Then be faster," Mira said. The crew worked quickly. The mechanical arms swung out, reaching for the probe. The probe tried to escape, but Mira shouted, "Boost left now!" Saurian hit the control. The ship jerked sharply, throwing the probe off course. The mechanical arms grabbed it tightly. "Crush it," Mira ordered. The arms squeezed. The probe cracked, sparked, then went dark. But Mira knew it was too late. "It already sent part of the signal," she said. "They'll be here soon." The crew's markings shifted to deep fear blue. "Prepare the ship," Mira said calmly. "We move now." The Valeri ship accelerated to maximum speed. Myra stood behind Saurian, giving directions. "Change heading 10 degrees. Cut power briefly. Then shift again." Saurian obeyed without hesitation. The ship shot across the nebula, leaving glowing dust trails behind. But soon, the sensors beeped with a warning. 3 Dominion cruisers arrived. "They found us," Veli said. Mira clenched her teeth. "They're too close. We need to lose them before we leave the nebula." The Dominion ships fired. Blue beams streaked past the Valeri vessel, shaking it violently, shields dropping. A crew member yelled. Mira studied the screen. The Dominion cruisers were spreading out, trying to surround them. "They're forming a trap," she said. Saurian turned toward the densest cloud of dust. "But sensors won't work there," Saurian protested. "Exactly," Mira said. The ship plunged into the thick cloud. Visibility dropped to 0. The Dominion cruisers followed, but slowed down. "We can use this," Mira whispered. She gave instructions. Short and clear-cut speed, drift, power down non-essential lights. The ship became almost invisible in the fog. The Dominion ships scanned wildly, firing at shadows. Myra waited, listening to the faint hum of the engines. "Now," she said. "Full thrust upward." Saurian hit the command. The ship shot straight up, leaving the heavy cloud. The Dominion cruisers wasted time searching below. Mira pointed forward. "Go fast." The Valeri ship escaped the nebula, leaving the Dominion behind. The crew fell back in their seats, exhausted but alive. Saurian let out a shaky breath. "We did it again." Mira nodded. "You're learning." Velis looked at her with gratitude. "We owe you our lives once more." Mira shook her head. "Just survive. That's enough." As the ship moved into open space, Saurian approached Mira quietly. "Mira, why is the Dominion so afraid of humans?" Mira looked out the window, her face thoughtful. "Because once, long ago, the Dominion tried to conquer human space. They expected us to surrender. Humans don't surrender." Saurian listened closely. "They attacked our colonies," Mira continued. "Burned our ships. Took our people, but they didn't expect what came next." "What came next?" Saurian asked. "Earth fought back. Hard. And the Dominion learned that when humans protect their own, they become something the galaxy fears." Saurian swallowed. "And Earth still exists?" Mira looked unsure. "I don't know. That's why I need to find it. Will Earth help us?" Saurian asked softly. Mira didn't answer immediately. She stared at the stars. "If Earth is alive," she said, "they won't let the Dominion hurt anyone who helped a human." Saurian's markings glowed bright with hope that night. Mira sat alone in her quarters, studying the limited data they recovered from her escape pod. Most files were damaged, but one fragment remained, a set of coordinates, incomplete, broken, but familiar. She stared at them, her heart beating fast. "Earth," she whispered, "you're still out there." The next morning, she called a meeting. The crew gathered, curious and anxious. Mira held up a small display. "I found the first clue. A possible direction to Earth." The room fell silent. "This journey will be dangerous," Mira warned. "The Dominion will chase us. They will try to stop us. But if Earth is alive, it may be the only place strong enough to protect you." Velis nodded slowly. "Then we go." Saurian looked at Mira with determination. "Together." Mira gave a small smile. "Together." The Valeri ship turned toward the new coordinates. The stars ahead looked darker, unknown, and full of danger. But Mira felt hope. Somewhere out there was Earth, and if Earth still lived, then the galaxy was about to change forever. The Valeri ship traveled through regions of space they had never visited before. The stars outside the windows looked colder, sharper, and older. Mira stood beside Saurian on the bridge as the ship followed the broken coordinates she had recovered. The crew felt the weight of every new jump. Danger could appear at any moment, but hope pushed them forward. Mira spent many hours studying the incomplete data. Some coordinates were scrambled. Others pointed to dead zones of space where no life existed. Still, something inside her whispered that she was getting closer. She did not know if Earth was alive or destroyed, but she needed to know the truth. One quiet cycle, Saurian approached her. "You have not slept," he said softly. Mira smiled weakly. "I have a lot on my mind." Saurian's markings glowed a gentle calm blue. "Your people. Do you think they survived all these years?" Mira looked out at the distant stars. "Humans are stubborn. If anyone could find a way to survive, it's them. But we faced a war that almost destroyed everything. After that, no one heard from Earth again." Saurian nodded slowly. "Maybe they chose to hide." "Maybe," Mira whispered. Before she could say more, the ship's alarm rang. Everyone gathered on the bridge. Elder Velis pointed at the sensor display. "There is something ahead. A large structure." Myra leaned closer. Her breath caught. Floating in open space was a massive metal ring, ancient and broken. Wires hung loose like torn roots. Parts of the frame flickered with fading blue light. "It's human," Mira said quietly. Saurian stared in awe. "What is it?" "A relay gate," Mira replied. "Humans use these to send long-range messages through the galaxy. This one is dead, but not completely." She noticed very faint signals still pulsing from its core. Velis gave the order to approach as the ship moved around the broken gate. Mira felt a strange mix of fear and excitement. If this relay still had data, it might hold a clue, a map, a message, anything. "Can we connect?" Saurian asked. Mira studied the controls. "Yes, but we must be careful. Old human systems sometimes defend themselves." The crew exchanged nervous glances. With slow hands, Mira connected her pod's ID chip to the relay interface. The gate glowed suddenly, lights pulsing like a heart waking from sleep. "It's responding," Myra whispered. A deep hum filled the bridge. Then a voice, cracked by age, echoed through the ship. Human identification confirmed. "Access granted." The crew froze. Saurian whispered, "It knows you." A hologram flickered to life, a map of several star systems. One star blinked brighter than the rest. "Earth system. Restricted. Authorized personnel only." Myra leaned forward. "Why restricted? Earth never restricted access before. Unless—" The hologram shifted to show thick red lines around Earth's region. A warning followed. "Autonomous defense grid active. Approach at own risk." Saurian frowned. "Defense grid." "Earth sealed itself off," Mira said softly. "They must have built an automated wall around our home. Maybe after the war." She turned to Velis. "We must find a way through it." Before they could study more, the relay suddenly shook. Sparks exploded from its broken parts. "Something's wrong," Saurian said. The hologram glitched, flickering rapidly. "Unauthorized vessel detected," the relay announced. "Dominion signature detected." They followed us again. The Valeri ship turned sharply. Dominion cruisers slipped from behind an asteroid cluster, black and silver with red glowing engines. "3 ships," Velis said, voice tense. Myra clenched her fists. "Same formation as before. They want to trap us." The Valeri crew was ready this time. All the training, the drills, the near-deaths they had learned. "Saurian, take us behind the relay," Mira ordered. "Use it as cover." The ship darted behind the massive metal ring. Dominion ships opened fire, beams slicing across the relay's frame. "We cannot stay long," Velis warned. Mira agreed. "We're not hiding. We're setting a trap." The crew stared at her. "The relay still has power," she explained. "If we overload its core just a little, we can create a blast strong enough to blind their sensors and damage their ships." "But the relay is human technology," Saurian said. "Are you sure?" Mira hesitated only for a second. My people would not want it to fall into Dominion hands. Saurian nodded and began adjusting the controls. The relay pulsed with rising light. Dominion ships moved to surround them. They think we are trapped, Veli said. Mira smiled faintly. Let them think that. The relay core reached critical energy. Brace yourselves. Mira shouted. A white-blue explosion burst from the relay, expanding in a wide sphere. The Valeri ship jumped into hyperspeed just in time. The blast struck the Dominion ships, shaking them violently and sending them spiraling off course. The Valeri crew cheered. We did it, Saurian exclaimed. Mira let out a long breath. We bought time, but they will return. We must keep moving. As the ship drifted through hyperspace, Mira studied the map again. Only one section of the coordinates was clear. The rest remained broken, missing pieces she needed. There must be more relays, she muttered. Saurian approached. We can search for them, Mira said softly. We have to find every clue. Hours later, the ship emerged near a scattered field of old satellites. Many were destroyed, but one still blinked with faint light. Another human structure, Veli said. Mira nodded. A military satellite. Old but powerful. This time, she connected more carefully. The satellite systems were almost dead, but a few files remained. A message played, broken and full of static. If any human survives, return home. Earth is protected. Earth waits for you. Mira swallowed hard. They're alive. Someone on Earth sent this. Sphorian looked at her with wide eyes. What does it mean? Earth wasn't destroyed, Mira said. They hid. They built walls. They created defenses to keep enemies out. Maybe even to keep something else out, Veles asked. What could be worse than the Dominion? Mira did not answer. The satellite suddenly powered off. Whatever energy it had left burned away. We need more clues, Mira said. There must be one more relay, or a beacon, something that leads to the final coordinates. They searched for days. They passed through empty sectors, dead battlefields from long-forgotten wars, and old human ruins floating silently in space. But one region made Mira stop. A graveyard. Hundreds of destroyed human ships drifted across a cold, dark void. Their metal frames were torn apart by battles older than any living person, Saurian whispered. Is this from the last war? Yes, Mira said quietly. This is where humans made their final stand. Through the wreckage, one ship blinked with a tiny blue light. A data core, Mira said. They boarded the ruined ship. Inside, everything was covered in dust and silent metal. Mira walked slowly, touching the walls, as if walking through a tomb. They reached the command room. In the center was a cracked but functional data sphere. Mira touched it. The sphere glowed. A voice echoed. Earth Defense Network. Last entry. Autonomous grid activated. Access requires full identification. Return home if you can. Earth endures. The sphere projected a final star coordinate, bright and clear. Mira felt breathless. This is it. The last piece. Saurian smiled. We found it, Mira nodded. Now we can reach Earth. Suddenly, the ship's alarm blared. Dominion ships approaching. A crew member shouted. How many? Veles asked. 5. And more arriving. Mira tensed. They were waiting for us. Saurian grabbed her arm. We must leave now. The Valari sprinted back to their ship, carrying the data core. Dominion ships descended like hunters closing in. Engines at full power. Mira ordered as soon as they reached the bridge. The ship surged forward. Dominion cruisers fired, beams slicing through the wreckage, shields failing. Someone cried, Hold on. Mira shouted. They raced toward a narrow gap between two giant human battleships. We will not fit. Veles yelled. We will, Mira said. Trust me. The ship scraped through the gap. Dominion ships were too large to follow. The Valeri vessel jumped into Hap's pet. Silence fell. Saurian breathed heavily. We survived again. Mira looked at the final coordinates glowing on the screen. "This is our path to Earth," she said. "But the Dominion won't stop now. They know where we're going." Veles rested a hand on her shoulder. "Then we will reach Earth first. Together." Mira looked at her brave Valeri friends and felt a deep warmth in her chest. "Yes," she said softly. "Together." The moment the Valeri ship crossed into the hidden region of space, an uneasy silence filled every corner of the vessel. Saurian sat at the navigation panel, his hands trembling slightly as he adjusted the ship's stabilizers. The space around them was strange. It's filled with drifting debris and flickering blue lights that looked like torn pieces of old energy fields. Mira stood behind him, watching carefully. Her mind tense but focused. She could feel something alive in the emptiness, something powerful. It was not a threat. Not exactly. It was more like a presence waiting for them to come closer. The ship moved slowly, its engines soft, to avoid drawing unnecessary attention. The hull creaked under the pressure of the distorted region, and the lights inside flickered. The rest of the Valeri crew spoke in soft voices, afraid that even their words might disturb whatever was watching. Mira kept her eyes on the dark window. She remembered the human distress message they had found earlier. "Earth is protected." It had echoed in her mind again and again. Now, she finally understood why the message carried so much weight. Earth had not just hidden it, had built a wall of invisible strength around itself. Suddenly, alarms flashed red across the ship. So, in froze. "Captain Mira," multiple readings approaching fast. His voice cracked. Myra leaned over his shoulder and saw the screen fill with red dots. Acheron Dominion ships. Not a patrol. Not scouts. A full hunting fleet. "They followed us," Mira whispered. The Valeri captain, Viren, rushed into the bridge. "How did they track us through the collapse zone?" Mira knew the answer. "They wanted me. They were willing to lose ships just to make sure they could capture a human. They think we're too valuable." The ship trembled as the Dominion fleet fired warning shots across their left side. The first hit shook everyone to their knees. Sparks burst from the ceiling. Varen looked at Myra desperately. "We cannot outrun them anymore." Mira stared at the stars outside. A strong feeling pulsed in her chest, almost like her instincts were guiding her. "Keep going forward," she said. Saurian snapped his head toward her. "Into the center of the collapse region? We do not know what waits there." "I think we do," Mira said. Her voice was steady. "Trust me. The humans didn't leave this place empty." Before anyone could question further, a thunderous vibration ripped through the ship. The Dominion fleet fired again, this time aiming to disable. The Valeri ship spun out of control for a moment, shields failing. Shouted one of the crew. "Keep moving," Mira yelled. The ship pushed forward, engines screaming. But the Dominion ships closed in like a tightening net. Their warships were larger, stronger, armed with heavy beam weapons that could slice through a Valeri vessel with ease. Then, just as one Dominion destroyer aimed directly at them, space itself shifted. A wave of light, silent and blinding, rippled outward in front of the Valeri ship. Every Dominion ship stopped firing at once. Even Mira felt her breath catch. From the empty darkness, enormous shapes emerged. One by one, massive human ships decloaked, appearing like silent giants waking from centuries of sleep. Their metal hulls glowed with soft blue lines, and their designs were like nothing the Valeri had ever seen, smooth, powerful, ancient yet advanced. The Dominion fleet immediately tried to retreat, but it was too late. The lead human dreadnought activated a shield wall that trapped the Dominion ships inside the region. Then human fighters launched in perfect formation, their engines humming like sharp echoes. Saurian stared in awe. "Is this Earth?" Mira felt tears prick at her eyes. "Yes, they're here." A bright beam of blue light scanned the Valeri ship. A moment later, a transmission came through. "This is Admiral Alex Wren of Earth's Defense Command. Identify your crew and status." Mira stepped forward and spoke into the com. "This is Captain Mira Hale of the United Earth Fleet. Returning home?" There was a long silence on the other side. Then a voice filled with disbelief whispered, "Mira, is it really you?" Mira swallowed a lump in her throat. "I'm alive, and I'm not alone. The Valeri saved me when no one else could." Another silence followed, but this time it felt emotional, warm. "Prepare for boarding," Admiral Wren finally said. The human dreadnought moved closer, its engines quiet but strong. A docking bridge extended toward the Valeri ship. The crew stepped back as the door opened and 3 armored human officers entered, their helmets shining under the lights. When the lead officer removed his helmet, Mira felt her knees weaken. It was Admiral Wren, her mentor from years ago. "Mira," he breathed. "We thought you died." She smiled weakly. "I almost did. They saved me," she gestured toward the Valeri crew. The Admiral looked at them with surprise. The Valeri bowed nervously, unsure how humans would react. Wren stepped closer and offered a respectful nod. "You saved one of our own. That means more than you know." Saurian blinked slowly, relief washing over him, but there was no time to celebrate. The Dominion fleet regrouped and launched an attack on the human ships, firing everything they had in panic. Wren turned to his officers. "Return fire. Full defense mode." Mira felt the deck vibrate as human ships fired back. The human beams were faster, more precise, cutting through Dominion vessels like slicing through smoke. The Valeri watched in awe and fear. Earth was far stronger than any legend had ever described. Mira stepped beside Wren. "Admiral, they're after the Valeri too. They're being targeted by the Dominion because of me." Wren turned toward her, his expression serious. "The Valeri helped a human. That makes them our allies." Mira took a breath. "Admiral, the Valeri have no army left. Their worlds are weak. The Dominion plans to wipe them out." He nodded slowly. "Then Earth will protect them. You have my word." As the human and Dominion fleets clashed, Mira felt the final piece of her long journey settle inside her. She had found Earth again. But she had also found a new family, the Valeri, who had saved her life. The battle ended quickly. Dominion ships fled in terror after realizing they stood no chance against Earth's hidden strength. Wren placed a hand on Mira's shoulder. "Come home. We need your help rebuilding what we lost." Mira looked at the Valeri. Their eyes were wide, their expressions hopeful but uncertain. "I will," she said softly, "but not alone. They're coming with me." "Out." Wren nodded without hesitation. "Then Earth will welcome them." As the Valeri ship followed the human fleet toward the hidden gateway to Earth, Mira felt a strange peace in her heart. The journey was not over yet, but the path ahead was filled with hope. And she knew one thing for certain. The galaxy was about to change. Earth had returned not just for one lost human, but for all who had shown kindness when it mattered most. The human fleet guided the Valeri ship through the hidden passage that protected Earth. The strange blue light surrounding the region faded as they moved deeper inside, replaced by calm darkness and scattered stars. Mira stood near the front window, beside Saurian and Varen, watching with quiet awe. She felt as if she were stepping into a part of her own past that she had thought was gone forever. The Valeri crew remained silent. They had heard stories about humans for years, but none of them compared to what they were witnessing now. Earth had not disappeared in weakness, it had vanished in strength, and now it had returned. Mira turned to them and spoke softly. "You are safe now. Earth doesn't let its allies fall." Her words eased their fear, but deep inside, they still wondered what a world powerful enough to hide an entire system would be like as they traveled deeper. The stars suddenly parted, and a breathtaking sight appeared before them. Earth. Blue oceans. Green land, swirling white clouds. It looked peaceful, untouched, yet extremely guarded by the massive rings of defense platforms surrounding it. Varen's voice trembled. "Your world. It is beautiful," Mira nodded. "Welcome to home." Human ships guided them safely to a large orbital station. Their ship docked, and the Valeri stared at everything around them. Human engineers, officers, and medical teams moved with practiced discipline. When the airlock opened, Admiral Wren stood waiting with a group of human officers. "Mira, welcome back," he said with a faint smile. She saluted. "Admiral, thank you. It's good to be home." He looked at the Valeri next. "And welcome to Earth. You stand here not as strangers, but as honored guests." Saurian stepped forward nervously. "We only did what was right." Wren shook his head gently. "You saved a human life when you had nothing to gain. We do not forget such things." He guided them through the station. Everywhere the Valeri looked, humans watched them with curiosity, but also respect. They passed through medical bays, observation decks, and long walkways overlooking the planet below. Once inside a meeting chamber, Wren explained the situation. "The Zacharan Dominion plans to attack your systems soon. If they take your homeworlds, they will become a danger to the entire galaxy. Earth cannot allow this." Mira stepped beside him. "The Valeri helped me when I had no one. Now we help them." Varen spoke carefully. "Your power, your technology, it is far beyond anything we knew. Why help us so much?" Wren looked at Mira. "Because one of your people chose compassion over fear. And sometimes that is enough to change the fate of many." The Valeri exchanged surprised glances. They had never imagined such simple kindness could influence a world as strong as Earth. Later that day, Mira and the Valeri were taken to the command center where holograms of star maps filled the air. The Dominion fleet was already preparing for war. Human commanders discussed strategies in calm, confident voices. Mira Wren said, "You know more about their movements. I want you to help lead the operation." Mira looked stunned. "Me? You survived them? You fought them. And you protected our new allies. You are the best person for this." Mira straightened her shoulders. "Then I won't disappoint you." The Valeri watched her with admiration. They had known her as a survivor. Now they were seeing her as a leader. The next day, the combined fleet departed. Human dreadnoughts, cruisers, and fighters formed massive formations across the stars. The Valeri ship traveled near the center for protection. Mira stood on the human flagship's bridge beside Wren. "This is more firepower than the Dominion has ever faced." Wren nodded. "They have ruled through fear for too long. Today, they will face something stronger than fear." When they reached Valeri space, the Dominion fleet was waiting. Hundreds of ships dark, sharp, and ready for conquest. The Dominion hailed them. A cold voice filled the bridge. "Return the human to us, and we may let you leave alive." Wren stepped forward calmly. "You threaten our allies. You hunted our soldier. This ends now." Before the Dominion commander could answer, the battle began. Human ships moved with incredible coordination. Their weapons fired bright lines of energy, cutting through Dominion shield after shield. The Valeri watched from their ship, stunned at the precision. The Dominion tried to fight back, but Earth's technology was centuries ahead. Every time a Dominion ship aimed at the Valeri, human cruisers moved instantly to shield them. Mira worked beside the officers, guiding human ships into better positions, predicting Dominion tactics, and protecting the Valeri worlds. She felt her training flow through her like fire. At one moment, a large Dominion destroyer broke through and headed straight toward the Valeri homeworld. Saurian panicked. "They're going to fire on our planet," Mira shouted. "Redirect the Blackwing fleet to intercept." The human ships moved with lightning speed, surrounding the destroyer and disabling it before it could harm anyone. Saurian stared at Mira, breathless. "You saved us again," Mira smiled softly. "I promised I would." After several hours, the Dominion fleet broke apart and began to retreat. For the first time in their long, violent rule, they knew defeat. Wren gave the order. "Do not chase. Let them run." The message is clear. The Valeri homeworlds were safe. When the fleet returned to Earth, celebrations erupted across the station. Humans and Valeri stood side by side, talking, laughing, and sharing stories. Wren lifted a glass during a quiet moment. "To new allies. And to the one human who brought us back to the galaxy." Mira raised her own. "To the Valeri?" Without them, none of this would have happened. Saurian stepped forward shyly. We only followed our hearts. Mira placed a hand on his shoulder. And your hearts changed everything. Later, as Mira stood alone near the window, watching Earth slowly rotate below, Saurian joined her. What will you do now? He asked. She smiled gently. I will help rebuild the galaxy. Humans can't stay hidden anymore. And the Valerie deserve peace. And us. Saurian asked softly. Mira looked at him warmly. We stay together. After everything we survived, how could I leave you behind? He nodded, comforted. At that moment, she felt something deep inside her: gratitude, hope, and a sense of belonging she had not felt in years. She had returned home. Yes, but her home had grown larger than just Earth. It now included the Valerie who had saved her, stood with her, and followed her across the stars. The galaxy was changing. New alliances were forming. Old powers were falling, and it all began when a small alien crew chose to save one lost human. Mira looked at the stars. With a calm heart, Earth had returned not to conquer, but to protect all who had shown kindness when it mattered most.